You're listening to Tailspin. I'm Melanie. This episode is part 2 of the Long Beach Community Theater's production of The Best of the Best, or as we called it in the industry, Bob. These are some of the highlights of the Long Beach Community Theater's first 3 seasons. First is Nadine Shores with Book of Love, Marilyn Mangini, Unconditional, and Lisa McCarthy and Andres Prepones, The Babysitter's Here.
When I was young, I used to love going monthly grocery shopping with my parents. So we'd go to the store called Jimco. You guys know it. But if you don't know about Jimco is this wonderful place that has everything you could ever think of buying. It has clothes, it has tires, it has groceries. So it was a great place to go. Now, when my parents would go back to the back of the store to do the grocery shopping, I got to spend some time alone and go into the book department, because that was my favorite place. There was this one day I remember. I was going through the store, the book department, trying to find a book to read. I'd look up and down the aisles, and I couldn't find anything. It was really funny, because, I read almost everything. I was 9 years old, but everything held my attention. Well, except romance novels. They had all that kissing and stuff. So I looked around, I looked behind me, and there on a shelf, down at the bottom, was this very large book. It was the Children's Bible. I picked it up and I started flipping through it. First thing I saw was Moses carrying the 10 Commandments down from Mount Sinai. And then there's this picture of Joseph. I must have spent 10 minutes counting every color in that coat that his daddy had made for him. The sounds of the shoppers, they disappeared because I was so involved in this book. I flipped to the back and there was the story of Christ, his birth, his crucifixion, and his resurrection. There was this one picture, though. It was Jesus sitting on a rock, and there were these kids sitting around at his feet. And they were looking up at him with such admiration, and he was looking down at them like they were the most important thing in the world. I really wanted to be there with them. All too soon, I heard my mother come up behind me. "Nadine, it's time to go." I ignored her. See, I wanted to spend more time with this book. "Susan, Nadine, I said it's time to go." Well, I knew that the minute I heard both of my names, I needed to pay attention. So I put the book down, and as I turned to walk out of the store, my mama must have seen something in my face. "What were you reading?" It was nothing. Sure didn't seem like nothing. Nah, it was nothing. See, I knew we didn't have money to spend on something so unimportant as a book. I mean, we barely had enough money for food, for Colt 45 for my dad, and pills for my mama. Sometimes we didn't have enough money for the food. I got out to the car, my mama right behind me, and she said, "Damn it, I forgot to get the milk. Ma, I'll go get it for you. Now, you stay here and you help your daddy load the groceries." That night, though, when I got home, I was putting the groceries away, and there in that bag with the milk was that Bible. See, I knew how much that had cost my mama to give for me, not in the terms of money, but in the terms of giving of herself. It was her way to show that she loved me. She wasn't the kind of woman to say those kinds of things. She never tucked me into bed or held me. In fact, most of the time, she barely acknowledged that I even existed. But for that one brief moment, when I was 9, I knew that I was loved. Thank you.
Once upon a time, there was a lady who had a baby. Yay! A baby girl. When the little girl was 2.5, she said, "I'm a boy." And the mom said, "No, you're a girl." And the little girl said, "No, I'm a boy. He, him." And the mom said, "No, you're confused." The little girl wouldn't wear anything pink. No hearts, no rainbows, no flowers. It was all dinosaurs and motorcycles, pirates and Legos. She played flag football and t-ball. She drank her hot chocolate out of a Hulk mug. She drove a Batman big wheel. They watched those Spider-Man movies over and over and over and over. Peter Parker, great responsibility. When the little girl was 4, she didn't want to wear panties anymore. She wanted boxers. When she was 4.5, she wanted a mohawk. The little girl had long, beautiful hair, but she couldn't stand for it to be fussed with. No ribbons, no braids, no bows. So as a result, it was always this tangled, sticky bird's nest, and there were these nightly torture sessions as the mom painstakingly combed out the knots. One day, a note came home from school that said, "Someone in your child's class has lice." The mom thought, if this kid gets lice in that hair, the jig is up. And she told the little girl, "We might have to cut your hair." And the little girl was like, "Yes." But the mom didn't want to cut the hair because without that hair, there was really no way to know that this was a little girl because everything about this child screamed boy. Soon the mom began to notice the child was becoming withdrawn. She didn't want to go outside and play with the other kids. She didn't want to go to the park. She didn't want to go to birthday parties. And the mom thought, what's really going on here? And the little girl said, "Every time I go somewhere, people ask me if I'm a boy or I'm a girl. Are you a boy or are you a girl? What are you?" And she said, "And I don't know what to tell them. I don't want to be a girl, and I don't like myself." And the child began to sob. And the mom realized she had some thinking to do. This had been going on for a while. And in the beginning, people told her, you need to nip this in the bud. You're the parent. You have the power. And the mom thought, yes, I'm the parent. I have the power. But with great power comes great responsibility. That's from Spider-Man. And who am I responsible to, thought the mom. The people that want my gender non-conforming child to conform so they can be happy, or the child who is not presently happy. Who would it hurt if I let this child live their truth? And who would it hurt if I didn't? You see, the mom knew when you love your child, when you really love your child, you have to let them be who they are. You have to let go of who you thought they were going to be. You have to let go of who you wanted them to be. And you have to love them for who they are. And for some kids, it can be the difference between life and death. You don't even have to understand it. You just have to love them. And so, they cut the hair. And the child was like, this describes who I am in here. And they changed the child's name. And then she was he. And that little boy has been happy ever since. Thank you.
Tonight was just great. She taught us the sign for peace. Now she's made us some popcorn, we've turned out the lights and we're watching movies. I don't understand and she tries to explain how a spaceship is riding through somebody's brain and there's blood and guts. She's the best one that we've ever had. She sits on her hair and she's tall as my dad. She tie-dyed my shirt and she pierced her own ear and it's peace, man, cool. Yeah, the babysitter's here. Her boyfriend is Tom, but we call him the king of romance. He wears an American flag on the butt of his ripped up pants. And will they get married with kids of their own? He says not if she's going to college, we won't. And he kisses just like that. She's the best one that we've ever had. She sits on her hair and she's tall as my dad. And she got mad at dinner when Tom drank a beer, but it's peace. Man, cool, yeah, the babysitter's here. And we all went to see her go dance at the high school. We made her a big card and she told us that she'd be the unicorn wearing the pink leotard. And there she was leaping up just like she said, with a sparkling horn coming out of her head. And she's I can't wait to give her the card. I can't wait to give her the card. She's the best one. You see, the play was called The Unicorn, and she was the unicorn, which means the star was my babysitter. But it's Saturday night, I can't sleep, and we're watching the news. She says, do me a favor, don't go with a guy who would make you choose. And I don't understand, and she tries to explain. All that mascara runs down in her pain, 'cause she's leaving me. You're the best one that we've ever had. You sit on your hair and you're tall as my dad. We'll make you a picture for college next year. So hush now, peace, yeah, the babysitter's here. The best babysitter's here. Thank you.
You're listening to Tailspin. This is Act 2 of the Long Beach Community Theater's presentation of The Best of the Best. Next is How I Ended Up at the Open Mic by Ayo Alavi, then Doyle Smiens with Truth Be Told, then Music by Yeggi Watts, and My New Perspective by Atlas Helaire.
I am a poet, and I write the lines that make the grown men cry and the young girls hide. I have not always been a griot, but I have always screamed in silence, even in the womb. But now I scream so that my scars can be heard. Yo, throw your hands in the air and wave them like you just don't care. If you never hit a woman and never made her cry, let me hear you say, oh yeah, oh yeah, and you don't stop. What? You never heard a hip-hop domestic violence song? Well, my words are manifestations of my thoughts, and my thoughts derivatives of my feelings, and my feelings conceived in my experiences. But my experiences are not my own. See, because you are there, my experiences are not my own, so my feelings are not facts, and my thoughts are unreliable, so my words may not be true. See, your mama had a nervous breakdown, and my mama had a nervous breakdown, and you thought you'd be my nervous breakdown, but I fooled you. I had a nervous breakthrough. See, you thought that I'd go out of my mind, but instead I went into it to places you couldn't find. And you thought that I would lose control, but all I lost was respect for you and every other man's soul for about 30 seconds. And then I remembered that you're not every man's representative. So I arrested my body and took it back from you, even though when I got it back, it was all black and blue. See, you thought that I'd have a meltdown, and I did. Wallow for days on that ground. Had a mind that was unsound. But amazing grace, how sweet the sound. I was lost, but now I'm found. See, you thought that I'd go crazy, but instead I picked daisies, woke up, smelled the coffee, and prayed your spirit off of me. And you thought that I'd break, and I broke, but I want you to know, brother, that cocoon was no joke. Yes, I crawled in the dust. Sprouting wings was a must. And now I'm fly. And I fly. See, you thought that I'd be all messed up, but y'all's got it where I'm all blessed up. And me and Sade, we be all dressed up. See, you thought that I'd take a gun to the head. But instead, I picked up this pen and this pad, and I write, and I write, and I write, and I write, and that's how I know I'm going to be all right. See, I write, and I write, and I write, and I write, and girls everywhere, they're getting free tonight. See, I write, and I write, and I write, and I write. And that's how I ended up at the open mic.
When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high, and don't be afraid of the dark. Faggot, queer, gay, homo. Oh, I remember that one. Somebody called me that back in the 7th grade in my small Midwestern high school. Didn't really know much about gayness back in those days. It wasn't in the news and wasn't on TV, and certainly no one in my small town talked about it. So when that guy called me a homo, it sent me running to my trusty Webster's dictionary. No, it wasn't on my phone or my tablet or my laptop. Those things didn't exist. No, the Webster's was a dusty hardcovered book in the library. I went into the library, took it off the shelf, and walked over to a table in the corner so no one would see which word I was looking up. And I still remember the definition I read that day. Homo, homosexual, of or relating to one's own sex. What? I wasn't relating to my own sex. Well, maybe a little bit, but hey, that's just a phase, right? All guys go through that phase, don't they? And so for the next 40 years, I went through my phase. And even while I got married and had 2 kids, I kept hoping that the feelings would go away. But they never did. Nevertheless, I stayed married for 27 years. And every time I told the lie to myself that I wasn't gay, I cut deep wounds into my sense of self-worth and self-esteem. That phony life would come to an end one August afternoon when my wife sat me down in the living room of our home, and she asked me the question that I had been running from my entire life. She said, "Are you gay?" 1,000 thoughts ran through my mind. I thought, I'm sick of you. I'm sick of our relationship. I'm sick of me. I'm sick of lying. So I said, yes, I'm gay. And my life as I knew it ceased to exist. There were some difficult meetings. There was a conversation with my son and his wife and my daughter and her husband where I had to admit to them that I was gay. At the time, I thought it was difficult that I was telling them I was gay, but later on I realized it was difficult because I was admitting to them their dad was a liar. I lied about my sexual orientation. Was my love for them also a lie? Where did my lying stop and start? Conversations with friends and siblings were equally as difficult as I admitted the lie to person after person. By the end of it, I was exhausted and worn out. I needed to get away from everyone and everything. My friend had a cabin on the ocean, and I called and asked if I could go and stay there for a week, and he graciously agreed. I would leave on Sunday afternoon, and my friends Rob and Brenda would come the following weekend to spend it with me. Those days at the cabin were dark days, filled with lots of hateful and self-abusing thoughts. By the time that Wednesday night came around, I could see no hope for my life as a gay man. I felt alone and hopeless. And then a thought came to me. At first it was just passing thought, but it quickly gained momentum. What if I ended it all right here, right now? All this pain, all this suffering would be over with, and Rob and Brenda would come on Friday and they'd find my body. So on Thursday night, I walked out onto the deck with a fistful of pills. And I sat and looked out at the ocean for a long time. And then I stood up. But I couldn't bring my hand to my mouth. It was as if my arm was frozen. I don't know how long I stood like that. But at some point I felt the fog lifting. And I felt my hand open. And I felt the pills fall from it and bounce and dance on the deck before falling between. I was right. I was going to die that night. The old Doyle, the out of alignment with who he really is Doyle, was going to die that night. So I killed him. And I decided to let the honest Doyle, the in alignment with who he really is Doyle, have a chance at living. I decided to stop picking at those wounds of self-hate and began the process of self-healing. What I realized is that I needed to love those wounds. I came to understand that those wounds make up a part of who I am. And when I could come to embrace, love, and accept those wounds for the growth and the clarity that they brought me, then they could heal and become scars of beauty. Because I believe I have inside of me everything I need to live a bountiful life. With all the love alive in me, I'll stand as tall as the tallest tree. And I'm grateful for each day that I'm given, both the easy ones and the hard ones I'm living. But most of all, I'm thankful for loving who I really am. I'm beautiful. Yeah. I'm beautiful. And I'm here. Thank you.
You hide your scars, but I visibly wear mine. You're so much more than what meets the eye. Sure, I can change with the touch of a knife, but these scars that I wear tell the story of my life. I'm not picture perfect, but I know that I'm worth it. If you love me within and look past the skin, you might find the beauty of who I really am. A gentle, loving soul trapped in this body that's been bruised and broken and bruised and broken and bruised and broken, but gave birth to life. See, my scars, they don't define me, but they have refined me. And as gravity weighs me down, those few extra pounds bridge the gap between the scared little girl that I was and the woman I've become. An untamable, unstoppable, unbreakable tigress who was and is and will always be worthy. There's nothing I can do to change your mind. Just how you feel. There's nothing I can say to change these scars that drove you thing. I won't change a thing. I won't, I won't, I won't, I won't, I won't. Say I'm who I am. I'm sorry I was ever really good enough to meet your expectations. So just walk away. Just walk away.
Emotional scars penetrate to the depths of the soul. I got wounds so deep that torture me more severely than burns to the 3rd degree, simply from me being me. My only sin in the matter was being born after the conception. I mean, all men are created equal, except for in the minds of evil and hateful people who will always maintain that I could never be their equal. I learned at an early age that I was different than my racial counterparts. The size of my lips and the tone of my skin. The texture of my hair doesn't blow in the wind. To be comfortable was to think outside the box, because inside the pressure was just too hot, and trying to break the mold would only thicken the plot. When I tried to educate myself to better my circumstances, I'm accused of trying to be white. I'm asked, who do you think you are? Just being uppity, they figure. Like I'm only supposed to speak broken English and pull triggers, thugging, slanging, living off in the projects, loudmouth heathens just violent for no reason. The world would be better off if they all just stopped breathing. I'm constantly reminded that successful blacks are exceptions to the rules. It's quite evident that they think we lack intelligence and that our concerns are irrelevant, even though we just had a black president. They think of us as animals, maladapted to society. When they see me walking down a dark street, their fear is difficult to hide, so they clutch their purses and their wallets and cross to the other side. But when I take a closer look, I notice that we're the center of economic gain. And after musing on it, I've concluded that the industry is infused with our influence on music. For when other ethnicities sound good singing on a track, people say that they sound black. Or when someone dances with rhythm, they're said to have soul. Majestic movements filled with grace, or the syncopated lock that led to hip-hop. I notice all of the rich traditions that still have influence on today. All of the sacrifices that have paved the way. I am the courage of the civil rights leaders. I am the stamina of those battered and beleaguered. I am the determination of my ancestors who beat all the odds. I am the faithful who place their trust in God. I am the purpose for which we were born. I am the elegance of Etta James and Lena Horne. I am the educators who put people's minds in tune. I am Benjamin Banneker and Mary McLeod Bethune. I am the defiance for when they said we could not be physicians. I am Justina Lorena Ford and Daniel Hale Williams. I am the hope of the chariots that swing low. I am the expressions of Langston Hughes and Maya Angelou. I began to understand that I am exactly who God made me to be, dark and lovely. I began to change the tune of my song and listen to those who would sing along and realize that society got it all wrong. And so now I sing this new song. No, I'm not really going to sing. Kinky hair, big lips, and plump cushions. We set the trends for plastic surgeons. Ranging from high yellow to mahogany, the world's curiosity is truly quite charming. To be matter of fact, I think that deserves some snaps. We take a broken language and make it sound ever so smooth. What's up, big homie? Nothing, my dizzle, I'm cool. More gooder than ice water on a hot summer day. More finger licking than Kentucky Fried Chicken. Make a meal from the master's scraps. Now you best believe that deserves some snaps. We make handshaking a form of art. All of our music is topping the charts. Melody is our middle name and rhythm is our last, son. World renowned from Prince to Michael Jackson. From the Harlem Shake to the Crip Walk. Our influence makes the whole world talk. From soulful gospel to controversial rap. I believe that deserves some snaps. Our style is imitated in the four corners of the globe. Baggy jeans, loose sneakers, an earring in each lobe. Fashion braids, suits of suede. Looking good is our second nature. Even if it takes our last cents like Visa, this is major. Trendsetters of new endeavors, we set the social climatic weather. Dictate the pace of starting new eras. A little conceited? Maybe. Perhaps. But you got to admit that because of it, we deserve some snaps. Thank you.
I'd like to thank Nadine Shores, Marilyn Mangini, Lisa McCarthy, Andres Prepones, Ayo Alavi, Doyle Smiens, Yeggi Watts, Atlas Helaire, and most of all, Ann Wellman for bringing us all together. If you have a story for me, please don't be afraid. Just contact me, melaniehiller.com or my Facebook page, Tailspin. Without you, there's no story. Keep your eyes focused on the beautiful, ever-changing